Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history, today Persia, and after we've done that we're gonna do martial arts basic training. And if you participate in the martial arts basic training, then it's what I get on this. Persia. Iran is named after the Iranian people who began settling there around 15,000 before Christ. Two Aryan tribes, the Medes and Persians, became soon dominant. Okay, so Iran, the country, is named after the Iranian people. And there are two Iranian tribes, the Medes and the Persians. And they started to settle there 15,000 years ago. 2,670 years ago, the Medes under King Cyaxares joined forces with the Babylonians and finally overthrew the Assyrians. We had it in the history parts of Babylon and in Mesopotamia, I think, a bit. In the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Okay, the Medes joined together under the king Cyaxares, together with the Babylonians, and together they overthrew the Assyrians. And the Medes are one of the two Aryan tribes next to a part of the Persians who became dominant in Iran 15,000 years ago. Now, 2,500 years ago, the Medes themselves were overthrown by the Persians. The Persian king Cyrus. We had it in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, but Cyrus was conquering around, I don't know when it was, it must have been around 600, Babylon. 20 years after Nebuchadnezzar II stopped ruling in Babylon, who had built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. So, 2,500 years ago, the Medes themselves were overthrown by the Persians. The Persian king Cyrus II was the grandson of the king of the Medes, Astyages. Okay, Cyrus II was the king of the Persians who overthrew the Medes, and he was the grandson of the king of the Medes, Astyages. Okay, 15,000 years ago, the Medes and the Persians started to settle in the region of Iran. These are the Aryan people. And that is what Iran is named after. And 2,700 years ago, there the Medes and the Babylonians overthrew the Assyrians. 2,500 years ago, did the Medes overthrew the Persians. No, the Persians overthrew the Medes. And the Persian king was Cyrus II, the grandson of Astyages. Cyrus II, so the Persian king who overthrew all the Medes. Cyrus II had an army of horsemen and very skilled archers. He went on to establish a great Persian empire after conquering Lydia and Babylon. Okay, Cyrus II, who was the king, the grandson of Astyages, who had overthrown the Medes, now started to conquering furthermore with his horsemen, so people on horses, I think, in this case, and archers, so people shooting with archers, with arrows. And he also then conquered with them Lydia and Babylon, and that created the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire was ruled by the Achaemenid family until it was destroyed by Alexander the Great in 340 before Christ. Okay, the Persian Empire, founded more or less by Cyrus II, who had overthrown the Medes, and when Lydia and Babylon conquered, was then ruled by the Achaemenid family for around 300 years until it was by Alexander the Great overthrown. Under the rule of Darius I, the Persian Empire reached its greatest extent. Darius the Great ruled Persia from 520 until 480. Okay, 200 years before Alexander the Great overthrew the Achaemenid family. So, and under the rule of Darius I, the Persian Empire reached its greatest extent. Darius, who called himself Shahanshah, which means King of Kings, introduced gold and silver coins and also brought chickens to the Middle East. Okay, Darius I. Under him, the Persian Empire grew to its largest extent. It was it was created through Cyrus II's conquering, who had overthrown the Medes, conquered with his horsemen and archers Babylon and Lydia. Around 600 before Christ, And on 500 before Christ, it was Darius the Great who introduced chickens and called himself Shah and Shad, which means King of Kings, and under him the Persian Empire reached its greatest extent. Okay. Darius built a famous road system and split his empire into 20 satrapies, which means regions, each ruled by a satrap. Okay, Darius had this large Persian empire. It reached its extent under his rule, and he split it into 20 regions, and they were all led by a satrap, and these regions were called satrapies. King's ears were officials who traveled around the empire and reported any trouble back to the king. He had not only satraps who were ruling the satrapies, he had also king's ears. We were going around as journalists around the country and looking for new things which are happening. And they were going around the empire and reported any trouble back to the king. The Persians built luxurious cities and palaces, first at Susa, when in Darius' reign at Persepolis. Okay, Darius, under whom the Persian Empire reached its greatest extent, 500 before Christ, built roads. He introduced gold and silver coins, brought in chickens, and split the country in 20 satrapies, ruled by satraps. He had king's ears who were traveling around the country and looking for news. And also the cities and palaces built who were luxuriant. And that happened firstly at Susa and then also at Persepolis. Persian priests, or magi, were known for their magic skills and gave us the word magic. Okay, they had priests, they were known under the name magi, and that is where the word magic comes from. A famous magus, that is the singular form, but magus magi. The singular form, so one of his magi was the magus Zarathustra. Let's see it first. A famous magus called Zarathustra unusually worshipped a single god, Ahura Mazda. And his god's evil enemy was Angra Mainyu. Was Angra Mainyu the evil enemy of Ahura Mazda or of Zarathustra? Okay, there were priests, they were called magis, plural magi, one is magus, one of his magus was Zarathustra. And he was unusually worshipping a single god named Ahura Mazda. And someone had the god's evil enemy called Angra Mainyu. Rich carvings adorned the walls at Persepolis, the great city and palace of Darius' reign. Okay, there was Darius, one under whom the empire grew so big, had a palace, and there was the thing, for example, with his carvings. Rich carvings adorned the walls at Persepolis. Persepolis was one of the luxuriant cities and palaces built. The other one was Susa. And the great city and palace of Darius' reign. That was Persia. If you were here for Persia or history, you can go directly to the next part of history, Persia. We will do now the martial arts basic training. If you stay and participate in the martial arts basic training, then it's going to be high risk. We're bringing one foot up, and the body will put down. Bring one leg, and yeah, no, that's so. I bring one up and down, and also the leg, and into the other direction, and the other leg up, foot up and down, up and down, up and down, and circle it. And the arm flexion, and hold it also against. And now, take the leg at the back, yes. Make a straight back, hold the knee down to the ground. The other leg, take it to the ankle, straight back, the knee down to the ground. And bring out to the side. Torso pointing forward, just stretching the inner side of the leg. over to the other side. And momentous, go from side to side. And a bit lunges, fall in front, and go back, and again front, back. A bit slower, go with the knee deeper down this time. Back. And one last round. Now the shovel snout, knee up and to the outside. 3 steps every and up to the outside. So knee up to the outside. 1, 2, 3. Knee up to the outside. One last time. And now stretch kicks. Hand out, kick against. 3 steps, other hand out and kick against. Hand out. And now the frog, knee up, back, up, and other leg up, back, up, and in, up, and in, up, back, up, and in. Now Christian kicks, leg up and back, and up, and in, up, and back, up, and in. Last round. And now, lunge kicks. Go in front with one leg, lunge, and bring the leg up, and back down. Other leg in front, lunge, and kick up, and back down. And right leg in front, and kick up, and back. Other leg in front, lunge, and back. And that was it. And now, side lunge. Side lunge, and up. Over side lunge, over side lunge, over side lunge, over, and that was it. And now squat kick. So squat and kick, squat and kick. Last 2. And now spin kicks. In front and over. 1, 2, 3, in front. Last time. And now 12 push-ups. And that was close to the rib cage, and that was the first one. Second one, and the first, third, fourth one, and number 5, and 6. Now number 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, now 11, and 12. And now stretching. Hiker sit-up stretch. 1 heel onto the ground, pull the toes in. Toes to the left, pull the toes in. Foot to the right and pull the toes in. The middle and then the leg from left to right. Other side. Heel onto the ground, pull the toes in. Foot to the right, pull the toes in. Foot to the left, pull the toes in. The middle, move the leg from left to right. And now, legs wide apart. Breathe in. Breathe in, close the legs. And out. That was martial arts basic training. I thank you very much and until next time.